So, welcome back, Bless Tribe. I just wanted to jump on really quickly. So, earlier I was talking to a family member and she just encouraged me. And, people be out here making boss moves. So, if you are a boss babe, if you are somebody who is out there just thriving and living your best life, drinking your water, minding your business, you know, having a healthy amount of social media, decluttering, having some you time, self care time, getting your hair done, getting your nails done, spending time with your kids, practicing good mental health practices, trying to improve your life. I just want to say kudos to you because I know for a fact, because I'm working on all of those things, it is a hard thing to do. You have to stay focused. You have to set those boundaries. You have to know when to be quiet, when to speak up, when to use authority, when to, know when it's a networking opportunity, not an opportunity to try to sell your business, but to get information from people who can help you. But something came across my radar in our conversation, and I just basically was thinking about people's character. And I know mentally you can go back and forth with your head like, is this a good person? Is this a bad person? Is this a friend that's on the fence, off the fence? Like, trying to categorize people in your life. So a lot of times I like to think about how to vet people. Use your discernment. Use that spirit person that's inside of you, the Holy Spirit, the senses that God gave you to be able to figure out if people are full of ish, and you already know what that stands for. So, I believe that you should accept people the way they are. So don't worry about who they're going to be 10 years from now. Think about who they were in high school and middle school when you guys were cool. Think about where people are right now. If you put them on a stand in the courtroom, who would they be? Who is the person they are right now? And start accepting people for face value of what they show you they're capable of, what energy they bring in, how intense it could be, or if they need time to get themselves together. Be very generous throughout this process of like kind of vetting people to see if they're qualified to be in your life. Because when you are elevating, when you are stepping into the kingdom, when you are modeling good behavior for your kids, for people that's watching, being a content creator, being somebody who people look up to, you have to then look around and say, listen, only qualified, highly qualified people can go with me on this train. Only people who are bringing their A game can go with me where I'm going. So when people have shown you who they are, DMX said it the best. He said, believe people when they tell you who they are. Don't try to put a little salt and pepper of what you think they should be or where you think they should be thriving. Accept people for who they are, because you want people to accept you for who you are, your flaws, your strengths, your weaknesses, things that are your little quirks. And sometimes I could be very silly, but sometimes I could be very serious. And it's, people that are around me, they have to kind of put up with it. Or, so I have to be graceful and also mindful of when I'm vetting other people. I just can't say, oh, they do that thing. Like I was watching Tabitha Brown and her husband talk about how she chews loud. And they made a joke about it, but that may be something that she does that irritates him. But he loves so much of the value that she brings to his life, he's willing to put up with her loud chewing. So, a lion and loyalty is one of those things that are just like a no. They're non-negotiables in my life. So if you are a liar, if you are just, very inconsistent, I can't depend on you, it makes me start looking at you like, cut those umbilical cords. So I wrote down some things about, inconsistent people and people who you just, their character, they got a character flaw. It's like when they show me this trait, I'm really not, appreciative of it. It doesn't bring value to my life. And sometimes people do these things non intentionally. They don't know that those things irritate you. So it's very important to vocalize when you do that. It makes me feel this way. When you do that, it breaks our trust. When you do that, it makes me feel insecure because I don't know what that means. And they will say, oh, I'm only doing that because that's my natural personality. I don't do that to offend you. Oh, I only do that because I was unsure about where I was going when I left. So I wasn't lying. I just, didn't know. Things like that come up in relationships, with communication, with a time that we're supposed to meet or do something. Things like this will come up, and you may take it personal and say, well, this person is intentionally trying to hurt me. It's not always true. Sometimes people do things unintentionally. They don't mean to hurt your feelings. They're not doing it out of being spiteful or being hurtful. They just are being themselves. But sometimes that's the boundary, the communication, the yin and the yang, the mutual agreement. Well, I treat you with respect. I don't yell at you, so I don't expect you to yell at me. I don't cheat on you, so I don't expect you to cheat on me. I don't, cuss at you, so I don't expect you to cuss at me while we're talking. Well, even stuff like when people stand up while they're talking, to me, that's like, you know, are you excited, or do you have to go somewhere, or, should I be getting away from you? You have to be paying attention and vigilant about everything that's going on when you're dealing with people. And the best tool is to be quiet. Sit back, observe, watch, see what people naturally do without you having to say, do you know that that bothers me? See how they naturally act. And then when you tell somebody something, if they value you in your life, in their life, if they respect you as a human in their life, if they want the best for you and want you to be happy, and they are supportive of your mental health and wellness, just like you're willing to bend on things that irritate you about them, they should equally, mutually be thinking about, well, I know I'm not going to do that because that doesn't make her happy. That makes her insecure when I do this. That makes my friend feel like I'm not going to show up when I'm late. Things like that. Start thinking about these things when you're vetting people to be in your life. And people don't always mean to mislead you. Sometimes they just forget to put information in places, or they just move around real funny. So sometimes you cannot just say, well, fuss at them or make them feel bad about who they are. Just say, hey, had you ever considered about sending a text message when you're late versus just having me sit in somewhere, at a bar when we just said we're gonna have drinks together and we haven't met up in a long time as girlfriends. Like, do you think that it would be appropriate to tell me a day or two that you're not gonna be able to make it the moment you find out you can't make it, versus the day of, oh, I forgot, I started doing something else, and you're sitting at the restaurant waiting. You've already maybe possibly ordered an appetizer, waiting for the friend to show up, and they never show up. That just may have been a mistake, but if it continues to happen, that's who that person is. They're a person that don't value your time, or mismanage their time to the point where it wastes your time. So yeah, I'll be thinking about a lot, y'all. And I think it's good to help to share, because I got all this, knowledge just wrapped up inside of me. And don't shame people. Just talk to them like you would want somebody to talk to you. Like, don't get crazy. Don't got to come out of pocket talking to people like you don't have any sense, because that's going to probably get you cussed out, fussed out, or cut out of somebody's life, when you could have handled it in a very mature way to say, hey, that you did, I didn't like it. Apology may be necessary, or, just the next time you guys come out, the person will be more conscious to say, oh, I know that when I say I'm going to be somewhere, I need to be there in a timely manner, so this person won't be anxious and think I'm not coming. So if you're a friend, try to be a kind friend. And people will lie. I'm not a big liar, and I'm not perfect at any means. So I don't want nobody to get on here like, oh, she is just this perfect little angel. No, I have done plenty of things, plenty of dirt. God has protected me from a lot of dirt from being exposed. So I don't want anybody to get on here and think that I'm telling you to do something or live a type of life that I have never lived before. I'm actively pursuing a righteous life every day, and I don't get it right all the time. But I'm constantly thinking about how to be conscious about how I speak to people, how I present myself, how I deliver boundary setting conversations. May I speak to you for a few minutes? Maybe have lunch or drink and talk about these things. Can we just walk around the park and I tell you, how that really made me feel when you embarrassed me in that crowd, talk to me crazy like that. I thought we were friends. I thought you cared about me. Stuff like that. I'm very conscious about how I present the information. Like, I just don't come out of the pocket just talking to people, girl, who do you think you are? Like, no. people aren't not going to receive what you're saying, common sense information, rationally when you are kind of discombobulated or angry. So remember, people will lie. People will lie, people will lie, and people will lie some more. People will go to the extreme to cover up something that they don't want you to know. So soon as you get that, or that, intuition or that spirit or whatever you want to identify it as, when you get that ringing in your ear, your chest, you start beating funny, or pay attention to all that stuff. Because most of the time, the person is lying to you. They're going to believe anything that you're going to tell, if you believe it, they're going to tell it to you. So try to have your own common sense. Don't try to be a private investigator. That never works. Nobody wants to conversate with somebody they always think is working them or trying to manipulate a conversation. That's not what I'm encouraging you to do. Pay attention to somebody who's shown you inconsistent behavior in the past. People can always change. I do agree with that. But DMX said it best. People will believe people when they say who they are, and I always expect them to show up that way. If somebody is usually, belligerent, drunk, crazy, most likely at the next party they're gonna be belligerent, crazy, drunk. If somebody's usually on a level 10 and that's not out of character for them, they're expect them to show up on level 10. If somebody is a diva on 7 out of the 10 days yet you see them, they a diva. If somebody is a deceptive person, they cheated 10 times before, they're a cheater. If somebody is, a type of person that use your car and run all the gas out of it, they are just inconsiderate. If people show up late, they're a late person. So expect people to be who they are with grace and with love, and just embrace. But decide if you want to keep that person in your life. Don't treat them poorly because they are who they are. Everybody was created a specific way. Some people make better decisions than others, but everybody has quirky things and things that we're not proud of that we do. But don't act surprised when people be who they are. Continue to look at the things, talk about the standards that you want to set, see if it grows, get into some therapy, start talking to your therapist about how to have this conversation with my mom or with my parents who always yell at me, judgmental about the people I choose to have in my life. They don't support the business that I'm doing. Or, that person who continues to talk about a habit that I have that isn't hurting anybody, but that I can manage it. Shopping too much. People are very judgmental people. They'll talk about you for doing the things that make you happy, but as long as you are able to maintain that financially and mentally, it shouldn't bother anybody else. So be who you are. Don't let people shame you for being who you are. Don't shame other people in your life for being who they are. But don't be surprised when people continue to show up 10 years later being the same person they were 10 years previous. People do change and make progress, but you have to decide, hey, is this person worthy of the progress that they've shown? Should I keep them in my life, or should I just wish them well? No hard feelings, no disrespect. Even with divorce, people look at divorce as a bad thing. Yeah, the Bible say that you shouldn't, get a divorce, but you shouldn't live in hell on earth with anybody. Once you start getting disrespectful to one another, have to start putting your hands on one another. Somebody's getting choked, somebody's getting slapped. The kids are experiencing that. The hole beside the wall beside your head is getting punched through, and you thought the person would knock the living daylights out of you. People are using financial abuse against people. Well, if you do this, I'll do that. Things like that. Once the relationship gets toxic, you can't get around that person without the having to use a substance or being drunk, or, you can't find ease around that person. They make you have anxiety and create stress in your life. You can't keep those type of people in your life. You're going to have to cut them off. And you're going to have to accept that they are who they are. And the more that you do that in your life, even with your coworkers, with your friends, with your family, when you accept people for being who they are, you will be able to be around them more. You'll be able to be more tolerant of them. You will even be able to be more tolerant with yourself. You accept yourself more. You'll say, I'm a talker. I love to talk. Sometimes I am goofy. I love to be goofy. Sometimes I'm serious. I love to be serious. You know, everybody has things and qualities about themselves that other people will not feel is valuable or think is extra or whatever. The same thing with other people in your life. You know, you want people to accept you, you have to accept them, the good, bad, and the ugly. And when it gets too ugly, where it no longer feels good to you, feels safe to you, and something that you can moderate in your life, you're going to have to detach yourself from that person and start creating healthy boundaries and getting people in your life that you can trust, that is trustworthy, that, you know, are very consistent and dependable. And don't go to the extreme to cover up something that could have just been discussed in a basic general conversation. When people start going to extremes to cover stuff up, it probably means that it's something that they don't want you to know, that you need to know to make a decision whether to keep them in your life. And you are right when you are a little leery about trusting people. You should not be out here just giving away trust. And I was actually reading Daniel earlier, and some of the qualities about Daniel was, and this was the guy that was thrown into the lion's den. Daniel was faithful, responsible, completely trustworthy. Those were just character traits that stuck out about Daniel, and he was able to prove himself capable of to be able to be overseer of some of the areas that he was supposed to be responsible for. Make people prove to you that you can trust them. I'm not saying that you have to be a diva and you have to be over the top. You don't even really have to speak about how you are requiring people to earn your trust. Just watch their behavior. All you have to do is stop talking so much, pay more attention to what people say, how they behave, stories that they tell, how they have done other people, you know, experiences that they shared that you're like, well, you know, you played a part in that too. It wasn't just all that person. Think about how much accountability that person take for things that happen. You know, how well do they speak up when, you know, they've done something wrong, or how quick are they to apologize. All of these things will help you allow somebody to prove themselves trustworthy. You shouldn't be out here just giving trust away. Um, you should require people to show you that you should give them your mind, your heart, your anointing, you know, all these positive things that you bring to the table. And while you are monitoring yourself, making sure that you are showing up as a highly qualified person to be in their life, you know that you bring good qualities to the table. You need to make sure that you are receiving applications from people who are just equally as qualified. Because once a relationship no longer is mutual, that means that somebody's getting more than the other person's getting. People will begin to feel burnt out. They will begin to feel like, you know, why am I getting the short end of the stick? You are in control of that. Life does not jump in your lap. Life just does not happen to you. People show you who they are. You just aren't paying attention because you are so good. You want them to be just as good as you, and you want them to love and be trustworthy and dependable just like you are. But everybody's not like that. Be leery of these people that, you know, go to extremes to lie, very inconsistent, people that, you know, they have that thing that just irritates your spirit, not your natural mind, or, oh, that's just irritating your spirit. You don't have a rest with your breath when they come around. You know, you start feeling all sorts of sensations and just a discomfort when you're around them. That means that your spirit and that person's spirit is not equally yoked. There's something about that person that's dishonest, that is making you, you know, leery about that person. And you're right to feel that way. Make that person earn your trust. Watch how they are with other people. See, you know, how quick they are to apologize and things like that before you just start handing out trust on a silver platter. Because people will lie to you. They will take advantage of you, and they will not come to you mutually as you're coming to them. So if you have found yourself in a, relationships with different people, family, romantic, friends, you need to start evaluating these relationships to see that you're getting the same value that you're giving, because it'll eventually start messing with your self-esteem. You won't be as confident or feel as loved, and your cup won't be getting as full as theirs. You will continue to empty it out. You'll continue to empty it out, and then their cup will continue to get full and yours won't get filled. You're going to have to get with some cup fillers, people that are of light, of love, of trustworthiness, of dependability, people that give it to you, give you information and advice that's going to help you, not hinder you, deliver it properly, use the correct tone with you. You guys can still have fun and chop it up and things like that, but it's just a way that you have to have these people in your life, and you shouldn't have to give them a manual. If you meet a person and you got to give them a handbook on how to just be a decent human being, that's somebody that you don't need to have in your life. But little conversations that come up, far as being on time and things like that, allow people, tell people that bothers me, and then see how that person reacts. If they blow all up and don't want to ever talk to you again, that person isn't willing or at a mature place to meet you where you're at. But if a person is receptive to what you're saying, timing is everything. When somebody dies, that's not the time to say, because I've experienced this. When my mother died, somebody wanted to correct me. I'm gonna act out of character because I've had a life-changing event happen to me. That's not the time to say, Jess, I want to confront you about something that's been bothering you since high school. That's not the time. The time is, you have to know the time and the setting. I always say, let me pull you to the side. When we're intoxicated or something like that, that's not a good time to talk to your partner about setting boundaries. That person is gonna be like, what are you, we're trying to have a good time. Or if you're having a romantic dinner, that's not the time to start talking about, you're very inconsistent. The person's gonna be saying, you chose the worst time in the universe to have this discussion. So make sure your timing is on point also. Don't try to have an intellectual conversation, or conversation should have been had casually on a Saturday or Friday when somebody dies, during somebody's wedding, when we're having a great time celebrating a holiday or romantic day, celebrating somebody's birthday, things like that. Those are not times to have conversations about boundaries, things that hurt you. Pick your timing so that your delivery won't seem poor, and that it will actually be taken with rationale and consideration. So I'm going to get off my soapbox about that. I just wanted to share about, believing people when they show you who they are, because people won't change overnight, but you'll be able to tell when people are being considerate of you, your feelings, your thoughts, your space, your energy, where you are spiritually, what bothers you, what your triggers are. If somebody's triggering you every 5 minutes, if you vocalize that that's a trigger for you, they keep doing it, they don't respect you, they don't love you, they don't honor you, they don't honor the value that you bring to their life. So start thinking about these highly qualified people that you should bring into your life, or should not have in your life if they don't meet that criteria. You have to set the criteria and a standard for your life. If you look around, you don't have nobody to love you, that's your fault. You have to now say, hey, how do I get people around me that do love me, that do respect me? But you have to speak about it first. Tell them that things they're doing bother you, and see how they respond. If they respond well and they just start loving up on you and making your cup full up, run over, things like that, far as with your friendships and relationships. Everybody plays a part in your life. You don't live on this earth by yourself. So it's not their responsibility to fill your cup, but when you have interactions with them, you should feel fed. Iron sharpens iron. You should feel like you're getting something out of the deal, not just pouring out because you have that anointing. You shouldn't just pour and pour and pour. It has to be mutual at some place. So I just wanted to share that. I got beautiful natural light today. I have taken time by myself. I have just, just been in a really good headspace. I wanted to get on and encourage the next person. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I know this video is pretty long. So if you watch it to the end, I definitely appreciate you. Turn on your notification bells. Check out my website. If you want an individual coaching session, I am available. And I just wanted to encourage you on today. Check those people out. Make sure they deserve to be in your life. You don't need anybody who's just going to take, and not respect any boundaries that you set up. And watch. You don't have to speak on everything, but just take mental notes of things that you notice or character flaws about people that you're like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I want that character flaw in my life. So you have control of who you talk to on a daily basis. Don't give anybody too much of you, because people will take advantage of that, having too much access to you. So get booked and busy. Start pressing play. I can't be on the phone with nobody right now while I'm making this video. So make your life and being prosperous in the kingdom, going after everything that your family has in the kingdom. Start pressing play in that area. Stop being so available for other people when your cup is completely empty 24/7. So be encouraged on today. Love you much. See you all right back here tomorrow. God bless.